Life of Tiberius Gracchus. Chapter 20. This is said to have been the first outbreak of civil strife in Rome, which ended in the bloodshed and death of citizens since the expulsion of the kings. All the other disputes, although they were neither trivial in themselves nor concerned with trivial objects, were resolved by some form of compromise, with the Senate making concessions through fear of the people, and the people out of respect for the Senate. Even on this occasion, it was generally believed that Tiberius would have given way without difficulty if his opponents had attempted to persuade him, or would have surrendered without any need for violence or bloodshed, since his supporters at the time did not number more than 3,000. But the conspiracy which was formed against him seems to have had its origin in the hatred and malevolence of the rich, rather than in the excuses which they put forward for their action. At any rate, the brutal and lawless fashion in which Tiberius's enemies treated his dead body certainly points to this conclusion. They refused his brother's request for permission to take up the body and bury it at night. Instead, they threw it into the Tiber together with the rest of the dead. And this was not all. Some of Tiberius's supporters were banished without a trial, while others were arrested and executed. Diophanes the rhetorician was among them. A certain Gaius Villius was shut up in a vessel with vipers and other poisonous snakes and put to death this way. Blosius of Cumae was brought before the consuls, and when he was questioned concerning his part in the events, he answered that he had acted in every insistence on Tiberius's orders. At this, Nasica asked him, "What would you have done if Tiberius had ordered you to set fire to the Capitol?" Blosius replied at first that Tiberius would never have given such an order, but when the same question was put to him some time after the interrogations, he asked, "If Tiberius had given such an order, then it would have been right for me to carry it out, for he would never have done such a thing unless it were for the good of the people." At any rate, Blosius was acquitted and afterwards attached himself to the party of Aristonicus in Asia. Aristonicus was the illegitimate son of Attalus III of Pergamum. Aristonicus resented his brother Philometor's bequest of the kingdom to the Romans and tried to recover it by force. After a brief success against the Romans, he was captured and executed in 130 BCE. Later, when Aristonicus's cause collapsed, he committed suicide. Chapter 21. After these events, the Senate made an effort to conciliate the people. They allowed the distribution of public land to proceed and proposed that the people should elect a new commissioner to succeed Tiberius. A ballot was taken and the choice fell on Publius Crassus, who was related to the Gracchi, for his daughter Licinia was Gaius's wife. Cornelius Nepos maintains that Gaius's wife was not Licinia, but the daughter of that Brutus who was awarded a triumph over the Lusitanians, but most writers agree with the account that I have given. Meanwhile, the people were still deeply aggrieved at the murder of Tiberius, and it was clear that they were only awaiting an opportunity to take their revenge. Nasica was already threatened with impeachment, and the Senate became so alarmed for his safety that they passed a resolution to send him to Asia, although they had nothing for him to do there. Whenever he appeared in public, people made no attempt to conceal their loathing, but shouted and hurled abuse at him. They called him a tyrant who carried a curse on his head and had defiled the most hallowed and awe-inspiring sanctuary in Rome with the blood of a man whose person should have been sacred and inviolable. So Nasica left Italy secretly, in spite of the fact that he had the most important and sacred duty to keep him there, for he was Pontifex Maximus. The Pontifex Maximus was elected for life, and could neither resign from nor be deprived of his office. He wandered from place to place, a despised outcast, and not long afterwards died at Pergamum. But we need hardly be surprised that such hatred should have been felt for Nasica, when even Scipio Africanus the Younger, who seems to have been as deeply and as justly beloved by the Roman people as any man in their history, came near to losing their affection on Tiberius's account. The reason for this was, first of all, that when the news of Tiberius's death reached him at Numantia, he exclaimed in Homer's words, "So may all who encourage in such lawless conspiracies perish." From the Odyssey 147, Athena's comment on the fate of Aegisthus, the murderer of Agamemnon. And secondly, that when at a later date Gaius and Fulvius asked Scipio Africanus the Younger before the assembly what he thought of Tiberius's fate, his answer left no doubt that he disapproved of the dead man's policies. This so much angered the people that they began to shout interruptions while he was speaking, a thing that they had never done before, and Scipio in his turn was provoked into abusing his audience. All of this I have described in greater detail in my Life of Scipio. One of Plutarch's lost lives, there are indications that he paired Scipio Africanus the Younger, the victor of the Third Punic War, with his favorite Greek hero, Epaminondas. So the life of Scipio unfortunately does not exist. And that brings to a close Plutarch's life of Tiberius Gracchus.